slide is showing correctly. All right. Thank you all again. Appreciate, being here today. Wanted to talk a little bit about Avalara and, talking about just in general the AI powered tools and automation that we've got within Dynamics 365 Finance. My name is Will Hudson. I'm a team lead of our product solution engineering team here at Avalara, typically handling the demos, working closely with the sales force. But definitely we can get you guys hooked in with other components here as well. But the talking just in general about the tax compliance and the complexities and the things that go around with compliance and reporting, as the Avalara systems would relate, into the finance side of the world. So we're here to basically, help out with managing growth and make sure whether it's, retail or digital services or you're opening into new markets, we help a lot with that, with the digitalization of, different accounting services. So things like live reporting. And again, we're building in different tools for artificial intelligence and different machine learning. We've got functionality within the Avalara suite of products around cross-border commerce so that we can handle all the different rates and rules and things that might change as you have those different international transactions. All those different regulations that keep changing, whether it's domestic here in the States or internationally with all the different e-invoicing requirements and those different live reporting components. We are constantly managing all those different areas. And certainly making sure we're keeping on tap with, different economic nexus things like the Wayfair decisions, sometime back, and really just making sure that we're getting, all of those things in line and keeping everybody compliant. So typically speaking, when we're talking about technology and different ERPs and the roles as AI kind of fall in with the different finance systems these days, typically built-in tax engines don't handle, true exemption management and those kind of components. There may be other situations around consumers use tax or cross-border calculations and dealing with those duties, and honestly just managing all the different rapid rule changes as they come across with all those different jurisdictions. So there's a lot of risk, especially if you're a multi-entity business as you run through. So where AI can kind of help out with a lot of those different things is it can actually help go through, and we built tools in here to be able to help identify things that may be missing on invoices as it would run through, making sure that we're flagging returns and different tax treatments before you actually go out and file them, right? That way we're not worrying about having to redo returns and resend those things through. We want to make sure that we're leveraging the tools to be able to help classify all your different goods and services, because not everything is taxable. There's varying things that could happen. It might be taxable in one jurisdiction but exempt or may have a reduced rate in another, and really help surface any of those different risks that you as a company might have, with different tax gaps or just exemption certificates and things that might be missing through. So there's a lot of tools that we can leverage within the suite of products to be able to drive those different areas. So Avalara as a whole, we have many different products and services as we can run through. We have ties directly into, D365 Finance, as well as, the other Microsoft suite of products to be able to go through and leverage the tax content of our engine, through AvaTax itself, from both a sales and a use tax perspective. We have the ability to help drive exemption certificates and manage those components, again, directly within the ERP system. And, again, really helping you to stay compliant and stay ahead of the game to make sure that you've got all those documents that you actually need. We can take that right through into the reporting and remittance with the states, and even e-invoicing and live reporting as we start talking more internationally components. So there's all these things we can do both on the sales and the use tax side of things. We've got tools, other tools around property tax and business licenses and other components as well, that we can definitely assist out, as things are kind of running through. So purpose of us as we go through, honestly, is just to make sure we're integrating seamlessly. We don't want to change what you're doing today in the main systems. Day to day is still going to be living within finance in this particular case. Building out your quote orders and invoices, all that information basically now gets passed over to the AvaTax engine in the back end. So ship from, ship to, product quantities, customer numbers, amounts, all those different details are going to flow through It'll reach to the AvaTax engine at a very high level, be able to recognize, do we have Nexus in that state? Is that customer taxable or not? Do we have a valid certificate on that for them? What about that good or service? Is it taxable? Is it exempt? Maybe there's a reduced rate or a threshold. All those things are going to get looked at real time. You're going to have tax or not on screen. And then as that gets pushed through to final invoice, that will again get called out. Things will stop moving around at that point. But that's honestly when we will then take it and cop it into AvaTax as well, and then put it on basically a tax return so that we can submit it out to different jurisdictions. So there's a lot going on under the hood. But again, goal is to keep you day to day, not get in the way, keep you compliant, right? Keep your risk, reduced as you go through, and scale with your business as you grow, right? So very easy to update, maintain things as you need to go through. So real quickly here, I'm going to take us through and walk through finance so we can get an idea of what that looks like. And bear with me here, move it over to a different tab. The finance system, as we kind of come in here, we get installed. There's an Avalara menu within here. We've got a connector, some different options to set things through. We can define your different goods and services to an Avalara tax code so that we know, again, this one is taxable, this one's exempt, again, reduced rates or thresholds, and map those out to different groups and everything else as you run through. There are details in the system here that we tie directly onto the customer cards themselves. So as we are looking at the different components, you have ties directly into our exemption module to be able to, if we know they're exempt, push this data to AvaTax so that we can make sure that they're exempt and create the data over there so I don't have to leave finance. We can send requests for certificates so that we can get those details. Customer can fill out the certificate information and send that back. We can even pull back the documents that are stored in AvaTax, but I will have visibility to them here within finance. Right? So keeping me in my day-to-day without having to jump into another system. And then as those transactions are ultimately coming through here, and again, we can make calls on the quote orders and invoice as we roll through with the process. But again, the intent here is just don't get in the way. So as we come through, somebody buys, we're selling whatever we need to sell through. The only place you even see us in this process is for changing that sales tax group, right? That's the part that's going to set aside the core functionality and now call to us. The trigger on here is the actual save as we would run through, or the post as it would run through, but you do have the ability to kind of see the tax details. And as I would run through here, this is making a call out to my AvaTax engine. All these layers of tax are being broken out. So again, ship from, ship to, we're validating out those addresses to get those information. These rates maintained within the AvaTax engine, getting returned back. In this particular case, I have no tax. And that's because this customer has a certificate in the state of Washington, so they are exempt. But if I were to come in here and say, hey, we're actually shipping this over to North Carolina, and we'll run those same sales tax details, this will give me now North Carolina rates and my different layers of tax, right? So in this particular case, I still have Nexus in that state. I still, I don't have a certificate in North Carolina for this particular customer. My product is taxable. These are the levels of tax that broke out. So I no longer have to maintain rates and rules and all those different things. I can stay compliant with all this information. This will all flow into the back end to the AvaTax portal as soon as we save through to final invoice. And again, I can take this right out to the returns remittance. So again, there are a lot of things that are kind of going on behind the scenes here to be able to kind of drive those different details. But certainly, in the efforts of time, I know we started a little late here, but if you guys have any further questions, please reach out, Microsoft@avalara.com. More than happy to have conversations with the rest of the team as we run through. So again, appreciate everybody's time today.